Yo, yo, what's up, everybody? This is Eric Okunromu, or Eric Okuns for short, and I have my man's Eric here in the cut.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Eric Scott
Hey,
tapping in.
let's get it. And today we are tapping in for the chapter 3 review of Know Thyself. See, my boy Eric already got the book as well. That is so awesome. So to get things started off, we're just going to discuss kind of some main points or themes. We could always even use our book as a reference as well. The title of chapter 3 is called Education as Power. So what I feel like some of the main themes of this chapter is getting educated and having that, and still having like that basis of self-knowledge for that education, and kind of just using that as a component just as power. And the definition that was given in this chapter for power is the ability to influence the environment consistent with one's own self-interest. So the way I view power through the scope of education is just, of course, going to school or using any other avenue that educates people so we can have a better understanding of ourselves and the environment around us, and then being able to apply that power into our environment as well. If that's coming through like just reading books, or maybe even like just setting up an org or some type of, like, let's even say like a company or corporation, or even like a small startup business. And then that can positively influence the environment around you and the people that are within that environment as well. So I feel like using that education as a power just to shape the environment that coincides with our own like self-interest, and hopefully all those self-interests are like positive and it's for the upliftment of other people. So those are kind of some of the main themes that I got from this chapter. So if you want to give your input on like what you feel like you took away from this chapter.
They say that knowledge is power, but personally I feel like applied knowledge is power. And I also feel like this chapter was kind of just like explaining that statement, and from like an African standpoint. Yeah. And I feel like it's kind of saying how we should, as a community, kind of like, empower each other and kind of shape our environment. One thing that really caught my attention was when they're talking about as a people will get, a degree or get money or opportunity, and then we'll go work for, one of the big, Fortune 500 companies, which isn't a bad thing, because it's you're making money, making a living. Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're helping fuel somebody else's dream. So I feel like it's just a different kind of viewpoint. Basically, it's kind of like, even if you have all education in the world, if you're applying for a job, your employer has the power, because they're going to pay you, they're going to choose if you're worthy or not, So I feel like, if you start your own business, you can do things on your own terms. You can hire who you want to hire. You can choose your location. Yeah. So it just, for me personally, kind of made me want to like start my own business in some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion. So yeah, that's what I got from it. Just the first, my first initial reaction to the chapter.
That is one of the biggest things that I also gained from this chapter as well, is just using some of that education as a power just to even build up things that will reflect our own like self-interest within our environment. So, and like you said, like there's nothing wrong with working for like some of the bigger corporations in our world, but at the end of the day, sometimes they don't really always have our best self-interest like at hand, and then sometimes their practices don't always benefit the community as a whole, or the different social groups or racial groups. So we can go ahead and get started with jumping into the questions. So the first question that I have for both of us, a pretty simple one. So it's like, in what ways can we use our power and our education to induce positive changes within our environment?
I personally think it just starts with the younger generation. Just get those ideals set at that young age, and then passing it on generation from generation. And that's how you kind of build a foundation. You need to instill them to have a producer mindset and not a consumer. I don't know the exact stat, but I know the black dollar stays in the black community far less than any other race. So I feel like for sure just getting like the black dollar to stay in our community, because we always want the new iPhone, we want the new Gucci, Louis, whatever. But the thing is, you can make your own bag, make it better than Gucci. Just putting those ideals and setting it at a young age. Because the problem is, during slavery, that was kind of like physical slavery, and I feel like now it's kind of like a mental, almost spiritual slavery. Because I feel like it's just like, it's a mindset that we have to change, and it starts with the younger generation.
Dang, yeah, I don't even want to go after that. Like, you hit so many major points, man. So I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Piggybacking off everything you were saying, I definitely feel like starting with the younger generation, that's gonna be huge because I feel like older adults and even sometimes younger adults, like there's this thing that we even learned in some of our science classes about the brain called neuroplasticity. And so that can cause a lot of people to kind of be stuck in their ways because I don't want to say like with that type of connotation, like stuck in their ways, but like when somebody's older, like they're kind of already ingrained in terms of like habits, their viewpoints and perspectives, and like it's kind of hard for them to change their mind about certain aspects of just community or life in general. So when you're younger, you definitely still have more neuroplasticity to be able just to change your mindset towards to certain aspects in our community. Just taking it from early start and just equipping our young leaders, our young children with just the components or the tools that they need so they can start to have like more of a mindset towards like building up their own or just like really having more of a community-based mindset and like continue to just to make change within our environment. So the next question was like, what are some of the negative effects power can have over an individual or a certain group? And are there effective ways to overcome them?
I think there's this misguided sense of power because I feel like you think about in the Black community, you know, a lot of people want to be like, you know, drug dealers because that's what they see. I don't think that they're bad people. I don't believe in good or bad people. I think every day there's good people who do bad things and vice versa. So I don't think they're like bad people necessarily, but I feel like in terms of power, that's like fast money and they end up, you know, either in jail or dead. So I feel like that's not the right path. I feel like you need people who are successful, who have, you know, got power and used power in a way to strengthen their communities.
You definitely already hit on some really strong points as well with just people who already are in power, let's say with like celebrities or people that work within the entertainment industry. But sometimes it's just the message behind what's being portrayed can negatively affect people as well in terms of power. So kind of the point you were hitting on with people who are like in the streets or like selling drugs, like kids that are within that environment, like when they see that within certain forms of media or even like literally in real life within their neighborhoods, they're gonna see that as like wow, he made it, like he's the man, or that person didn't get it by the safest or best of means, but like they still have power and influence within their environment because they're probably going to be well known, a lot of people know them and they're getting money, and it's just the message behind things. And that I feel that can be one of the negative effects of power. I like the point that you made too with people having a lack of self-knowledge for themselves, then that power can like change them over time. Because let's say, once again, just sticking with like the entertainment industry, let's say a rapper, he's made it through like just his situation, and he's like, you know, let's say he signed a deal and like he's getting paid money with advances and all that stuff. And if he already didn't have a strong general self-knowledge of himself and just his community, like he could be making like errant or bad decisions with his money, or he can be used as a puppet by some of these record labels.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll just be spreading like a really negative message for the youth that are coming in after him. And then that power can even change or corrupt him, because sometimes like you should keep like family and business separated at times. Like it's a quote similar to that, because sometimes when you get a lot of money, that can cause turmoil or just damage within certain relationships. And I feel like that's where that power can turn negative. If you're kind of ruining the relationships around you, you're setting a bad example for the youth or people who are looking up to you, or even just for family members in general, or just people within the community. So
you said something about on the lines of like, you know, them getting money, and I don't hate money. I understand money is important in terms of power, but I feel like money is not power. It's what you do with the money. And I feel like that's one issue too, because we just think about money and getting money, but it's important. It's a resource, but it's what you do with that.
Question 3 is, how do you plan to use your level of education, special gifts and talents, and ideas to influence your environment and the people around you?
I feel like my purpose on earth is to be a healer. So I feel like, you know, no matter who you are, what you do, you need to be healed. Like, you know, either if you have an injury, mentally, emotionally, you need some kind of healing. And I feel like for me, using like, you know, my nursing knowledge, psychology, like holistic health, you know, starting to garden and everything, and just kind of like talking to people, I would like to, you know, serve my people, my community when I'm or I am a nurse. Like,
Even back to your community, even what you said with being a healer, even through your nursing degree that you're gonna get, gotta manifest it, speak it into existence.
man, I got a spot for it already.
Yeah. But yeah, I totally feel that, man, for sure. So mine is really like pretty much right up your alley as well. Just kind of using what I've already gained with my education, and just through schooling or just books, documentaries, and just really just trying to spread that knowledge to people younger than me, obviously the youth, even people older than me, anybody who's a willing ear to listen. And kind of like what you were saying too, with just holistic health as well, because I feel like one of the biggest detriments that our community suffers with at times is just a lack of just giving that amount of time back to ourselves, and that can be through like healing. And it's just kind of coming back to just breaking those mental chains, and I feel like that can be done through ways of education, watching videos, documentaries, or even listening to people who have gone through certain instances where they've struggled and just what they had to do just to overcome those adversities, and just giving back to ourselves holistically. So yeah, just incorporating ways just to like just give back to ourselves so we can be a better individual for the people around us and within our environment too. So if you would like to give just one or even two of your favorite quotes from the chapter, and just like what it means to you and just how it's impacted you.
So first, on page 39, it says, it's a quote by Dr. Woodson, and it says, when you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. Earlier I said, how we are kind of in this stage of like mental/spiritual slavery. Yeah. I feel like if you kind of just free the mind, then after that, everything else is kind of easier. So I feel like it's kind of like realizing like, oh, I'm powerful. I have this potential to shape my community and have a strong sense of influence, learning about myself and my culture and my history. Oh, like I come from that. Oh, I can do that, So it's kind of just like, you have to see yourself doing something before you do it. So I think like this should be like every school. Every young Black person should read this book.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes is from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. As a people, we must become producers and not remain consumers and employees. We must be able to extract raw materials from the earth and manufacture them into something useful for ourselves. This will create jobs and production. We must remember that without land, there is no production. The surplus of what we produce, we would sell. This would develop a field of commerce and a trade as other free and independent peoples. At the end of the day, we still need to give that energy and time and money back to ourselves and within our own communities. And so it kind of just reminds me of just Black Wall Street and just keeping that Black dollar within our community and just providing jobs and opportunities for people within our community so we can grow and develop and advance our group as a whole. Like you said, this really does need to be at a lot of, like, let's say elementary schools, middle schools that are predominantly Black or African. We're just like learning more about ourselves, educating ourselves more on self-knowledge, how we can use that education and knowledge as power so we can have influence that would benefit us and our own self-interest as well. So once again, I'm gonna say every single video, please y'all go out and get this book, Know Thyself. Like, please, this is such a powerful read. So definitely just take the time out to do so. You have any like closing quotes or sayings that you want to say or anything?
I just want to say, even if you don't get this book or you don't like reading, I still think reading is like the first step. So, but I think just read in general. Yeah. Just read.
Read, man. Self-education, self-power, so we can use that power to positively affect our environment and influence it. That will help and benefit our own self-interest. So thank you so much, Eve, for just taking the time today just to give your thoughts and your perspectives. You literally hit on so many amazing points, bro. Just thank you so much just for taking the time out today to do so. And everybody watching, thank you so much just for taking the time out your days to watch as well. Once again, Know Thyself by Dr. Naeem Akbar. Please check it out, or any other books that are related to just African American history, enrichment, empowerment, anything along those lines, because it will definitely be such a huge benefit for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video and stick around for the chapter 4 review as well.